you ever been told, come on, just share a story, add some masala for heaven's sake, and your brain goes blank? You stand there just trying to look smart, but inside you're screaming, I don't have a story. I've not had any dramatic heartbreaks, no near-death experiences. What story should I say? I don't even have that story which says, one day I packed my bag and ran off to the Himalayas. Well, this happened with me as well. I had just joined my bachelor's degree. It was a freshers' party and I won some pageant at the party. I'm not sharing which one, but yes. They said, share a story, Sarika. And there I was, staring at a blank canvas like it owed me answers. I mean, what story? I'm not even 18. I've never climbed Mount Everest. I've not done a pole dance on a reality show. My life's highlight reel wouldn't even fill a YouTube short. What story? If you've been in my place and if you've ever told yourself, I don't have a story, what do I speak? Welcome to the club. Believe you me, you've got more stories than you think. I've learned my lessons and today I'm here to share my lessons with you. Hey everyone, you tuned into Communicate 101, your go-to pit stop for speaking and writing tips. Those tips that don't sound like a textbook. And I'm your host Sarika Singh, your communication chef for the day. And today's special is Masala Marke, because today we are diving into a topic that's been simmering on low flame for way too long. Masala Marke bowl. But what if you've got no masala? What if you've got no grand story? What if you have just plain dal? Worry you not, I'm going to show you how to spice it up anyway. Let's stir the pot. Somewhere along the way, we all started believing that only big stories are worth sharing. And because we don't have big stories, so we don't have anything to share. Not everyone will have a story which says, I quit my job, I sold everything, I moved to Bali. Or something like, I failed my board exams and now I run a multi-billion startup. I've even heard stories, I don't know if they're true, but stories which say, I've survived a shark attack and found enlightenment. Amazing stories, right? No doubt. We also started believing that only celebrities have stories worth sharing. I mean, ordinary people like you, like me, don't have stories. But believe you me, even celebrities most of the times do not have stories worth sharing. Thanks to the script writers, they have great stories for sharing. So how can you and I have a masaledar story? But let me tell you what no one tells you. You don't need a Bollywood-style backstory to make people listen to you. If you're Bollywood, people will anyway listen to you. They don't need that story. You don't need a big, dramatic, life-changing moment to be worth listening to. And why is that? Because very often people confuse masala with mirchi masaledar drama, with spicy drama. But most of the people, most of the listeners aren't looking for fireworks. They are looking for mirrors. They want to hear something that reflects their own messy, real, ordinary life. In the 3 decades of my coaching experience, I've realized that masala means meaning. Nobody is bothered about the drama in your story. They are bothered about one thing. And one thing that they are bothered about is the value that it offers. Let me show you with an example. I'll tell you about one of my clients. She was a very, very soft-spoken homemaker, and with her permission, I'm naming her Mrs. Kapadia. Now, Mrs. Kapadia had to say something, a few thoughts about herself at her nephew's wedding toast. And she said, I haven't done anything inspiring. Sarika, I'm a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. I've raised 2 kids and that's it. What do I say? I don't have anything to say. So I asked her, I said, Mrs. Kapadia, what is your typical day like? She said, I cook, I clean, I chase the younger one who refuses to wear pants. And then she added with a laugh, you know what? I always end up dropping spoons in a hot curry. And of course, I burn my fingers fishing it out. She smilingly showed me some fresh scars of the previous morning on her first finger. I looked at her, I smiled, and I said, exactly. That's your story. And believe you me, that became her story, something she wanted to share at her nephew's wedding toast. We built her speech around fishing out hot spoons, a metaphor for how we jump into situations, half prepared, we burn our fingers, and we still go back the next day without learning. Of course, she connected it to her nephew to make it about his wedding toast. And she continued to add how her nephew was just the reverse. That mundane moment turned into a magical story. Because that story was hers. It offered value to others. It was not fancy. It was not viral worthy. It was just real. One more person, he was an introverted techie. He had to deliver a talk at a conference about some prototype, something technical he had developed. And he wanted to make his talk very engaging and spicy, not boring. But he was a complete introvert. And his biggest problem in life was, what do I even talk about? My life is too routine. Work, eat, sleep, nothing special. I asked him, when do you get most of your thinking done? He said, honestly, over my chai, when my laptop is shut and my brain finally stops buzzing. And there we were, his entry point. His talk was titled, My Best Ideas Come in Chai-Stained Mugs. He spoke about white space thinking, the power of pauses, how the best motivation, best innovation often comes in quiet, not the chaos. It was simple, it was deep, it was unforgettable. But most importantly, it was real. It was him. And that's the masala you need to bring into your stories. More on this in the next leg. Very often we start thinking that communication, when we are a smart communicator, we impress people. And communication is all about casting an impression on people. Well, it's a bit different from that. Your job as a communicator isn't to impress. It is to connect. You don't need a viral moment. You don't need a rags to riches journey. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need to answer one question. And that one question is, what have I lived that others might feel? It could be maybe the guilt of missing your kid's school play because you were in a Zoom meeting. It could be the joy of finishing a book after 6 months of trying. It could be a pain of watching your parents grow old. These are real stories. The kinds that stick. Because they're not filtered. They're heartfelt. They connect. If you're still short of ideas about what might be your story, what the masala about and around you should be, I'll show you a magic formula to dig it out. I call it the FAD formula. F-A-D, FAD formula. And it's coming up right in the next segment. Training workshops in different cities in India, in UK and Australia. Not that I'm not going to do in any other part of the world, but currently this is where I do the workshops, and very often there are some complimentary passes to be won. So keep following me on Communicate 101 on Instagram so that you can grab your lucky passes before they run out. All right, time to dig into the FAD formula. It's an acronym which answers what to do when you feel blank. This is a 3-step way to finding your voice when you feel like, I don't have anything to say. All right, let's get into step number 1. Now, F stands for focus. When you focus on something, you zoom in, right? You don't zoom out. Don't look for the highlight in the reel. What is the highlight of my story. No. Look out for the special moment, simple moment, like it could even be brushing your teeth. When did you feel something? When were you confused? When were you proud? When were you broken? When were you inspired? Write that moment down. Just focus on that moment, that feeling. Write it down like a photo. Now that's the moment you need to focus on. The last time you were confused or proud or broken or inspired, write it down. Focus on that feeling. In step number 2, ask yourself. Now, A in the FAD stands for ask. Ask yourself, so what? What did I realize from this? What made me pause? If something touched you, it may have an impact on others too. Ask yourself, what is it that you felt? What is it that impacted you? Because that what, that's your message. So you have focused, you have zoomed in, and then you've asked yourself, so what? You've done the F, you've done the A. Now let's come down to the last one, which is D. D stands for dress. It's not the costume that you wear, but now you dress whatever was the answer to the ask part in your own tone. You have to dress it in your own tone. Speak how you think. No fancy words, just your truth. If you say yaar in real life or buddy in real life, say it in your story. If you laugh halfway through, include that laugh. That's your signature masala. That's your personality. That's it. That's your masala. You follow the FAD formula and you will find the masala you need to spice up your conversation anytime, anywhere. So, you focus, you zoom in. Don't look for the highlight in the reel. You ask yourself, what did I realize from this? And then you dress it in your own tone, your personal tone, your signature tone. Ever noticed how the smallest, most random moments in life can teach you the biggest lessons? Like you don't always need a TED talk or a leadership book. Sometimes you just need to watch maybe a toddler. Let me explain. Have you seen a child refusing to share a toy? You know, that tight grip which says, it's mine. That expression. That dramatic pause before they push the other kid away. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, kids. But if you've ever worked in an office, you've seen the same toddler. You've seen the same thing. Just replace the toy with a PowerPoint. Or maybe a credit line on a project. And suddenly, that toddler with the toy truck becomes Raj from finance. He's guarding his Excel sheet like it's a Kohinoor diamond. And that's when it hits you. Growing up doesn't automatically mean growing out of things. We just get better at hiding our tantrums behind those professional emails. That's a story. Or take this. Have you been running late for work? You're juggling your laptop, your keys, your sanity. And on the way, you see someone quietly feeding the stray dogs or cats by the road. Meanwhile, you standing there with your coffee, internally panicking. Oh no, I left my poha in the microwave again. And that one moment, watching someone else being so calm, so kind, so present in that moment, it just stops you. You realize your morning disaster isn't really a disaster. The world doesn't end because your poha went cold. That small act of somebody's kindness resets your day better than any meditation could. That's a story. It's happening right before you. You don't need that TED talk for the story. You don't need that leadership book for the story. It's happening in front of you. That's your story. That's something when you speak, people will get value from it. Then look at this traffic, the great Indian traffic jam, the national test of our patience. You stuck in traffic for 45 minutes. You were going for a nice dinner. Horns are blaring, temples are flaring. You just want to get out of here. You want people to just turn their engines off. Actually, people just turn their engines off. And that collective surrender which says, fine, nothing's moving, let's just sit. Almost like a shared meditation session, just with diesel fumes. Now, in that stillness, if you panic, you're not helping yourself or anybody else. If you sit patient, you learn lessons about patience better than any self-help book you've ever read. Because patience isn't about waiting for things to move. Sometimes it's about accepting. Sometimes it's just saying to yourself, they just won't, and that's okay. You see, even that is a story. Because stories aren't always about heroes or villains. It's about what changes in you. What clicks when you watch the world a little more closely. Sometimes the best stories don't come out of big moments. They come out from your poha, the office raj, the traffic jam. And all they ask is, were you paying attention? That's your reminder for today. You don't have to go looking for stories. They're already happening you. Did you notice them? That's the question. You're a walking, talking observer of the world. Don't just limit yourself to your life. Because storytelling isn't about what happened to you. It's about how you interpret what's happening around you. You just need to be deeply, unapologetically, truthfully you. That's your voice, that's your story, that's your masala. And trust me, everyone's hungry for it. Hope you find your masala marke moment story very soon. Just follow the FAD formula whenever you get stuck. Share your masala marke story on your Insta. If you loved this podcast, if you loved what I said, don't forget to tag me. My Insta handle is Communicate101. And I love to celebrate your stories. Till then, just remember, the reason someone came to hear you talk is you and only you. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.